Welcome to Squatchin Holler.
In the mist where the trees lean low, Squatchin Holler's got a tale to show. Whispers creep like a creature's faint howl. Every shadow's got a secret to growl. Monsters rise where the stories are told. Squatchin Holler where the legends are born. Are they here? Are they gone? Who can say? In the holler, the truth just slips away. Huge footprints fade where the creek runs thin. A lantern sways, let the search begin. Rustling leaves, but there's no one near. Is it the wind or the beast you fear? Every echo's a question, every rustle's a clue. Squatchin Holler's got its eyes on you. Monsters rise where the stories are torn. Squatchin Holler where the legends are born. Are they here? Are they gone? Who can say?
And now, with your Squatchin Holler hosts, Roger Williams, Amanda Stowers, and Ashley Range. Remember, this podcast can be downloaded everywhere great podcasts are found. And now the show.
Hey, I'm Neoma Fenn, and I'm listening to Squatchin Holler. And if you're hearing me say this, you are too, which means you have excellent taste. Cheers.
Oh, that was so cool.
That was awesome.
Naomi was a friend of the show, y'all. She did a couple shows with us because we had a technical difficulties and we started over one night. So there's part 1, part 2 on the old Squatchin Holler, and she has a terrifying Bigfoot experience, and she's a master storyteller. So just y'all go give that one a watch.
Voice for it for sure.
But we made it, y'all. We've been scrambling backstage. Glenn's with us, aka Bigfoot Dwarf, and I believe he went by another name before, but I won't ask him about that. But how's it been going?
Oh, it's been going good. Everything's been wide open. It is fall festival season here in North Georgia. The leaves are starting to turn, so all the leaf lookers are on their way up here. The apple orchards are wide open, and everybody and their neighbor is up here right now. So it's getting a little busy and a little crazy already.
You probably don't want to hear me say this, but that area this time of year in the next couple of weeks, you can't beat it. You couldn't grab a ticket on a plane and go anywhere in the world and find any place more beautiful than Northeast Georgia, North Georgia, all the Smokies and all that. But I think y'all have this. I think y'all have it beat. But Amanda's like, shut up, Roger.
No, I can't say it. I live here, and yes, all the influx of people up here aggravate me some days. But I can't say I don't blame them. It's gorgeous.
It's good for
I look
business,
out my
right?
window. And, yeah, I drive up and down, look at the trees, and yeah, it's nice.
All right,
it's the little
y'all.
things in life, right?
Yes, that's right. And sometimes we don't appreciate it enough in the areas we live, until somebody else brings it up. And Glenn lives in an awesome area. If y'all have watched any of Bigfoot Dwarfs, I say like documentaries, or I like to call it like a walk along. I love those type videos because I'll probably never get there, right? And in watching a video like he does, he's so calm, he's such a chill guy. And if there is a film crew, he hangs back and he's talking, and you really get to see what the terrain looks like, and he explains where he's at, what he's doing, and some of the history as he goes along. And if you're like me, you're watching up in the trees and when he pans around, so yeah, Miss Bobby, she said love his channel. Me too. And I think there's not enough of that. We try to do it some, but that lets the people that can't, that will never be there, have an idea when somebody said they talk about Bluff Creek or whatever. It doesn't look like, you get that those frames that Patterson caught, and then Glenn and his friends go up with equipment and clean up the area so other people can enjoy it. So it's grown up. And anyway, we'll bring him on here, and y'all get ready because he's a storyteller. I love it.
I'm excited.
Hey, Glenn, how are you?
Good evening, Amanda, Roger, everybody in the chat, and everybody else listening out there. Yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate the invite. I'm honored.
Oh, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. You try to figure out who you want as guests, and of course, if you don't see anybody on another show, it's hard to judge or whatever. And I saw you on it was with Jerry and Jeff Milkman, and
Yes.
it was great.
Cool.
Old Line Cryptids. If
Yep.
y'all go back and check that out. I was sitting there like, why have I not had him on before? Because
Yeah, and usually I'm watching YouTube, and so I'm on the other side of things, and the chat side of things, but here we are, how life works sometimes, and yeah, I appreciate the invite, and I'm glad everything worked out, and we're all here, and yeah, super excited.
I just hate that it took so long, but it happens when it's supposed to.
Exactly.
And, I think now watching, I believe it, because you're not a flashy guy. I mean, I don't, you know what I mean? You're not out doing the conferences and all that. And then, and I look up and I'm watching Small Town Monsters and I'm like, wait a minute. I know who that guy is. What kind of experience is that? I mean, those guys, they seemed awful chill too.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and how all that worked out. It was organically done. I had no idea really that Alex Petikoff was going to be up that way. My buddy Jonathan Easley from Western Bigfoot Explorations, another great YouTube channel, and these guys really do the documentaries. I'm starting to like dabble with it and put longer videos together. I have a lot of just short little videos, and I never really got into the whole like video editing and all this other stuff that comes along, even with like live streaming and podcasting and stuff. It's all a bunch of stuff I'm learning now, and I'm like, okay, I guess I got to learn this stuff to be able to do what I want to do. And so here we are, little by little figuring things out, and yeah, and running into folks like you is always great. And I enjoy your shows, I catch your live streams when you would do the lives and stuff like that. And there's been some funny moments, which we won't get into here. That was for backstage. But yeah, no, and then having a partner like Amanda is just, a blessing, man. And enjoy your vibe. You two definitely work well together. And
so thanks. I appreciate that.
And
what happened with me and Roger getting together, like you just said, it was all organic. It just happened. So
love it.
I saw her kind of like you. I saw her on TikTok, and I would go away from some of her videos. It was making me, make me think. And then she was on the show, and I'm like, you know what? I'd love to have her as a co-host. And I was just as shocked as anybody when she said yes. So I'm glad she did. It's
cool.
I think good people attract good people. And you can pick up somebody's vibe. You may not say anything and you won't call it out. Nobody will ever know because you'll keep it here. But I think good people draw good people. So I feel like you're one of the good guys, and we appreciate you. I was excited when you said you'd come on because we try to focus like east of the Mississippi, but we want to include everybody because we went for years I was hoping Bigfoot was only in your way. As a kid, then I have things happen like, uh-oh, no, that's not true. So now we're kind of start focusing on here in this county mainly, and then the surrounding counties. But speaking of counties, you are in one of the hot spots of the world, the most famous ones.
Yeah.
It what made Glenn want to go by himself to maybe like Bluff Creek or some of these famous places when you first
Yeah.
went?
So currently I'm at we have a smoke shop, skate shop here in East Los Angeles. So I'm currently at the shop, and I grew up out here in Los Angeles, actually Hollywood out of all places. And at some point in my life, I was just like ready for change, and I ended up in the redwoods. So I gave up the Hollywood for the redwood.
There you go.
And it was just mind blowing when I first got up there. I fell in love with those trees and just the environment up there, the ocean and the rivers and stuff. And not really knowing that the Patterson situation had happened up there, but the presence, the Bigfoot culture, you see it when you head up that way, heading up. And actually, you see it a lot more throughout this part of California now too. It seems like Bigfoot's just popular everywhere. But especially in Northern California, you start seeing a lot of storefronts and businesses using it as their logos, and the redwood cutouts, and just stickers and shirts and all the merch and stuff. And so it's I just knew that Bigfoot, and you could tell, you sense it when you get into those redwoods. You just sense this vibe that something else is out there. And it could just be the trees themselves too, but you could it's just the squatchy vibe that people talk about. It feels squatchy. We use that word a lot out west.
I like that verb myself. It's cool. It fits, because
Right?
how else do you describe it?
Yep. And so I first went to visit a friend that was going to school. It used to be Humboldt State, but it's a poly now. And so I just visited for a short amount of time. I think it was about a month at that time. But since then, I had returned the following year, and it was for this music festival. It's a big reggae festival that they have up there. And since then, I made it a ritual every year to head up north, and there was these other music festivals. I'm big into music. I DJ on the side and stuff like that. And so, I just, it was a yearly thing. We would head up there. At the time, I had a 73 Volkswagen bus, and I would pack it up and head up into the woods and party for a bit. And eventually one year, I just, a friend of mine, a female friend of mine who lived up that way, had a boyfriend who had a piece of property up in Humboldt County. And that's kind of, it was, these festivals were like borderline Humboldt County, northern Mendocino County. And he needed somebody to caretake for the land there, the property. And we jumped on it. A friend of mine and I did, and made the change, made the move, and had no idea really what I was getting into. And just got schooled in country living, Humboldt living up in the hills. And it was just something, totally different than the city. So it was.
We're reverse Beverly Hillbillies, basically.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Getting to the country.
And I saw a quote that was awesome, where people say in your area where the woods have woods.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's actually a great way to put that.
Yeah. And so we moved into Honeydew is the name of the town, and they named it Honeydew because it was one of the sweetest, if not the sweetest spot in California. And it was amazing. And just was able to live up there. Some people, I would think back to people, friends and stuff back home, and I was like, yeah, they would not be able to hack it out here. But I just made the smooth transition, and then lived there a few years. Didn't really have anything happen there, but that's where I learned. There was all types of friends and people that would come by there throughout the years. Lived there about 3-4 years. And that's where I had learned. Someone had brought up, we'd talk Bigfoot some nights, and someone had brought up that the Patterson footage was filmed in Humboldt County, which is technically, I learned now, it's actually in Del Norte County, which is a county above Humboldt, but several counties meet in that Bluff Creek area. So you have Humboldt, you have Del Norte County, you have Siskiyou County, and then Trinity County, which all are squatchy. Siskiyou is where Mount Shasta is. So Mount Shasta is not too far from Bluff Creek, actually. Something to keep in mind there if you're
Have
into
you
the
visited?
Oh
Have
yeah,
you visited there?
yeah. Been to Shasta several times. Never like summited or anything like that. But been there several times and always keeping an eye out for UFOs and the Lemurians and all the strange stuff that people talk about. The Countess Saint Germain and little people. And actually, Bluff Creek, there's more than Bigfoot out there, and we'll get into that. But so yeah, lived in Honeydew, that's Southern Humboldt. Got schooled there, and eventually met my my queen, and we ended up moving in together, and also in Southern Humboldt. And actually, to give people an idea, there was a Netflix documentary, and I won't say the word, but it's we say unaliving, but it's that mountain. And so I don't know if you've seen it. Maybe people have heard of it. But it focused on some of the dark side of Humboldt County and the Emerald Triangle that they call up there because of the cannabis industry and all that. It was Humboldt was actually known for like missing people, and it was a good place if you want to go missing for sure. But then there was other stuff, crime, and then other weird stuff. You never know, Bigfoot comes up and stuff like that. And yeah, there's been several films that have come out of Humboldt. There's Willow Creek, which is a pretty good one that I like. There's Primal Rage, Lost Coast Tapes, and a recent one that actually a buddy of ours from the Bluff Creek Project, who we'll also mention a little later, Rowdy Kelly worked on. Have you seen Sasquatch Sunset? Anyone out there?
I've seen the title.
I saw the
trailer.
The trailer, and I was like, I get it as a film project and as a film nerd, I get it, but as far as like anything else, I'm like, not for me. Not for me.
Was that the one where they didn't speak the whole time and it showed? I saw some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so our buddy Rowdy worked on that, and he's worked on several other things having to do with film and some of the Bigfoot related as well. But so moved to that part of Humboldt, and so these properties I was staying on, both of them were 40 acres. So for me, that was a lot of space, and pretty wooded. And again in the hills, and there was actually another one in Apahulu called Sasquatch, and it was about like cannabis related and all this other stuff, which also I mentioned that part of Southern Humboldt borders with Northern Mendocino, and that's actually on the Mendocino side of things. So there's been quite a films and videos and stuff that have come up from that area. But anyway, so living on the land there, I started really getting into Bigfoot at the time. And actually my brother in Southern California started sending me a bunch of stuff on YouTube. I wasn't really watching much TV up there, had a phone and was able to get onto YouTube, luckily, and was checking out some of these Bigfoot videos. And I was like, whoa, tripping out what people were doing and finding and stuff. And so I started doing the same around my area. And I started right there on the land, actually, looking for one of the things were the stick structures and the ground glyphs and stuff like that. And I know some people are totally not into that. I feel like everyone in Bigfoot has their little niche, whether you're into the feet or into, the structures or just different things. I feel like everyone has their little place. But yes, the structures were one of the things. And I found a few things that caught my attention on the property. And so I was like, interesting. So at the bottom of the hill, along Highway 101, there's several redwood state parks. And so along there, I started really finding some stuff, and I thought it was interesting. And yeah, of course, it's you're along a major highway there, and there's this little detour that takes you through the redwoods there. And so people go through there, there is traffic of people there. But at the same time, there is a lot of a history of reports and stuff like that. So I started diving into some of that stuff online, and then, of course, asking locals, hearing stuff from locals. Anytime I had a chance to get into a conversation with anyone about the topic, we'd get into it, and I'd get some feedback. And then before I knew it, people started mentioning this name Bobo. They're like, you need to talk to Bobo.
I was thinking he lived in Humboldt County.
Yeah, so I had no idea. I didn't know who Bobo was, but everyone's like, you need to find him, and before you find Bigfoot. And let me tell you, trying to find Bobo is like trying to find Bigfoot. So eventually it happened, and I forget how it all worked out. I really got to dig. A lot of things become a blur, especially up that way. But Bobo and I ended up meeting. And I think before that, there was maybe a few other people that I might have met. I don't know if I had gone to Bluff Creek yet or not, but eventually I had found. So I met Bobo, and it was like, all right, cool. This is super exciting, and we kept in touch. And so there was at one point where I got invited up to Bluff Creek. So, but before that, I was running all up and down the county. My lady's dad was living in Trinity County, which is the county over, and he was up in the hills there too. So, and every once in a while we'd go check up on him. And so we were up in the hills of Trinity also. And so we were all over the place. Anytime I got a chance, I was out there looking for stuff. And these were a lot of the places where reports were coming out of in the past, and in some current reports. I'm seeing a lot more now. So I don't know if it's, the online thing but I'm starting to hear more reports from up that way. But a lot of them were historical reports. But I was doing my little searching, and I was finding stuff, some of the TP structures, the X structures that people talk about. And the question's always up in the air, whether it's, people, or is it really Bigfoot or Sasquatch out there doing this stuff? And some of it was, really big, like what you would call a massive structures. And some of it was really, really tiny. And the places I would find it and the way I would find it, sometimes I feel like I was almost like guided to these things sometimes.
Kind of drawn to it.
Yeah. And so I was trying to figure out if there's any patterns, is there is the river always going by there? Is there some sort of water source near, just trying to figure little things out. And it just became a thing. Definitely always looking for a sign like that first. And then taking it further, whether camping there or trying to set up some cameras. Really got into the gadgets, learning about the different gadgets, audio recorders and stuff like that. And just, everything comes out of the pocket. So you wish for the top notch stuff, but we get what we could afford, and just, putting it to use. And so the Bluff Creek thing became an annual thing. So I would get, the phone call from the guys. And so when I first went up there, I didn't really know too many people, but everyone was pretty cool. And I was like, yeah, I could do this. I think the first time I actually went, I took my son. And so that was a nice experience as well. And people were already at the film site. And it's crazy because the main camp, one of the main camps, which is Louse Camp. And Louse Camp, it goes back in like history with the people that were, the Four Horsemen and all that, and some of the historical stuff that was already happening before the Patterson film. That campsite was being used. And I heard also that even the natives way back would use the actual Louse Camp for hunting and certain things like that. I'm not too sure on that, but so yeah, that's kind of like our main base camp there. And we had no idea where the Patterson footage was. And at the time there was an ex-sheriff from I think the Los Angeles area who was going up there from the 80s. And he took us over to where the film site was. He didn't have to do that, but it's quite a mission. You're there, but you still gotta, it's quite a ways, and you gotta hike down to the site and kind of bushwhack a bit. And he showed us how to get there. So it was pretty cool. He ended up passing away a few years back, and they released his ashes there at Bluff Creek. And,
that's cool.
Yeah, it was a special thing. So always loved Mike for that. And since then, it was every year we'd go up there. I'd get the call. And so since then, it's been about, I want to say, going on maybe 8-9 years, and maybe skipping a year or so here and there. But yeah, so recently last year, and throughout those years, there's been, I'd never had a full-on sighting, like a patty sighting or anything like that. But little interesting sounds here, some knocks or some vocals off at a distance and stuff like that. And that always kept me wanting to go back too.
Right.
So people talk about Bluff Creek being like squatched out. They say, like, there's no activity, and but there's still stuff going on, definitely. And
when you talk about going and doing that, one of your what documentaries, I'll call it, when you go for 2 or 3 weeks, don't you?
Well, this time I did. So last year, so when I would go up there, and even living in Humboldt County, to get to Bluff Creek was a mission still. It'd be still maybe like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive still. And you're in the county already, and it's just like, whoa. But yeah, I would only stay about 3 days max, and then would have to, get back to work or whatever it was. And still, that felt like a good amount of time. But yes, this time around, I was able to spend, actually last year, I went up twice, once in July with a certain group, and then in October. So it was a blessing to be able to do that. And actually coming from Los Angeles. So from out here, it's like a 11-12 hour drive. And so, gas ain't cheap, especially not in Cali. And
That's right.
yeah, it was a blessing to be able to make those trips. And then before I knew it, it was time to go again this year. And so last year is when Alex and the whole STM thing went on there. And that was exciting. We had some faint vocals that we heard on one particular night, and we weren't able to record it. We had all, the guys had the audio recorders going. We had our thing. It was a night investigation. And yeah, we started hearing some pops and like some snaps of twigs and stuff. And then off to one distance, the guys, we started hearing some vocals. And eventually, this is like 3 a.m. We're up at Layered Meadow, a particular meadow up in that area, also with a lot of history. And so we ended up driving towards where we heard those vocals, up towards Onion Mountain. And yeah, didn't have much else happen there, but there was this weird. So when we were driving up there, it was Alex Petakov and Jonathan Easley in the front, and I was in the back, and something told me to just like record with my phone. And when I got back and went through some of that footage, there's one point where I noticed this weird, like it was like a smoky, dark, humanoid, almost like figure go across the road. It was super weird. I showed it to the guys. The guys thought maybe it was just like,
no, I saw that. You're right. Let me tell you why you're right. I rewatched that over and over, and the vehicles are headed this way. The shadows come into the light. Shadows don't do that. And it crosses right at the left corner of the vehicle and goes past it. And it was big.
Yeah.
That was, I'm glad you brought that up, because
I'm glad you seen it.
I did.
Yeah, I've missed that one. I'll have to go find that for sure. That's sounds very reminiscent to the one down here from the sheriff's vehicle. That's what it kind of reminds me of.
And this
one, just you talking about it, I mean.
And it's kind of, this one, Amanda, is see-through. It's like a black figure, and it's big. It's a mass. It's huge, and it comes to the vehicle in the bright light at night, and it's coming at an angle and goes all. And I rewatched that because I think you made a comment like they didn't see anything. They don't think it's anything. It may be a shadow.
Yeah,
it's a shadow of some kind, but shadows don't move towards. When you put light on a shadow, what does it do? It disappears. So,
and I'm glad you see it the same way, because I was like, this is something weird. And I send it, I got my buddy Gerald from Midwest Night Watchers. I send him my stuff to kind of like, review. You got to send it to somebody. There's a few people I send my stuff to, and they're all solid people, and I do have the other people that'll point out all the weird stuff that you're like, I don't know. But,
right.
And he felt like that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he felt like there was something there too. And I was hoping, I was like, oh my God, please use it in the STM video. But I guess it didn't make that cut. But
I know who would use it. Josh Gates would.
Okay.
You know what I mean? On we Expedition X, they love stuff like that, and
Okay.
and they do more like paranormal or whatever.
Right.
But see, that's the thing. You go out there, you don't even know when you first start. You don't even know there's several camps or groups that it's this or it's it's interdimensional, it's flesh and blood. We have no idea because and then when you bring something like that up, some people that are in one camp, they'll deny it because they don't want to go against, what they've known.
Right.
But that's to me, and I even think like, how would you fake that? I mean, I don't even know as big as that thing was. I didn't see it the first time. I missed it.
Mhm.
I had to rewind it a few times, but yeah, you got something weird there. So the point I'm making is, even when something weird does happen, it's like some people are like, I want to focus over here. I'm scared of that.
Yeah.
And I understand that because I've been there. And but if you catch it on film, you've got it right. So
Yeah, and that's what I love doing is trying to document to try and capture anything strange or anything like that. Because yeah, it was weird that we're hearing those vocals, and actually where we heard those vocals on there was maybe a year, 2 years before that, Jonathan Easley and I we were also doing a night investigation there and got similar vocals from that back area where we think, and that I did capture on my cell phone, and it was sent to someone for analysis, and this person is good at what he does, and yeah, he didn't say they named it, it's most likely the specified target, I think is how it is.
I like how he worded that. That's good.
Yeah, it's something along those lines, but he doesn't say it's Bigfoot because we can't prove it like that, but yeah, he says that the vocals were weird, and it's super cool that it happened again there. And there's been some other weird stuff that had happened in that Laird Meadow in that particular year, also a couple years back, where several of us, it was a big group of us, a bunch of cool investigators and researchers and stuff, and two of them being Bart Coutinho and who was the other one? There was someone else there that it'll come to me anyway. So Kip Morrell, yeah, salute Kip. And so we're all like winding down from the night investigation. We get into our vehicles. We're parked in like a U shape, and I'm in the front of my truck, and I have a custom bumper. It's a little bit, truck's a little bit raised, and I get into my sleep, and something like wakes me up, this voice inside or something like that, and it's like, "Don't open your eyes."
Oh no!
And then I started feeling the front bumper, like I could sense, like I had my eyes closed, but I could sense that something was in the front of my truck on the bumper, slowly pressing down, and I could feel my truck slowly starting to go down.
Oh,
and I was
no.
like, "Oh my goodness!" I'm like, the door is unlocked, and I'm in the front of the truck, like it's laying across the front, and it was the weirdest thing. So I was like in between this dream, it felt really real. I think it happened, but I was like kind of sleeping and did not want to open my eyes because I felt like there was going to be something I didn't want to see, but I'm there to see this stuff, but yet I did not open my eyes.
Glenn, I have had things happen. I've talked to seasoned researchers that have been doing this since they were kids because of their parents and stuff like that. They want so bad to have a sighting. And when that moment comes, I've heard that so many times, I was scared to look up. I was scared to open my eyes. I was scared of what I was actually going to see. So don't feel bad.
Oh yeah.
That seems, I know one, her mom was a researcher, well-known, and I think her and her boyfriend were laying in a tent. It was open on the top. And something told her not to look up, and she could hear it breathing. So I don't know what that is. I've had times where, you'll have a turkey neck, like we say in the South, you'll stretch up and like, what is that? And then the other times you're like, oh no. So there's something, that sixth sense you might have or whatever. Just like I said, I've got more trouble not listening to it than I have listening to it.
Right.
And that happened again recently. So fast forward to this July, so I'm back up there, and we're at Louse Camp, and we'll just get right into it since we're getting into this good stuff right now.
Let's jump both feet in. Let's get into the good stuff right away.
Yeah,
I like it.
And this year I was supposed to head up with Tate Hieronymus. Are you familiar with Tate?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. He was going to plan to head up to Bluff Creek and then up to Northern Oregon and then into Washington, and I was going to cruise with him. And so I was taking the whole month off. I was like, all right, a whole month. Bigfoot, let's do it. And but things didn't work out like that. I'm telling you that gas. And so so I spent 2 weeks in Bluff Creek, and which was amazing. And on the mid part of this trip, there was a big group of people there. We had people from all over. We had Salish Sasquatch from Washington State come out.
Oh, coll
Thomas Steenberg,
Mhm.
veteran researcher, yes, from BC, and Brent Dill from Washington State. Different people from different places. A lot of different people came through. And so the campground was packed. And on this particular night, Jonathan Easley and I had stayed up like the latest, and we shut down the campground. And towards the end of the night, it was just like a few of us just talking, and it was just Jonathan and I. At the end, it's 4 a.m. I head over towards my tent, and I purposely put my tent as far as possible from everyone and stuff like that. And so it's kind of this. It's kind of scary sometimes, especially when there's no people. But there was a bunch of people, so I was like, I felt pretty good, but still, it's just this eerie feeling when you're out there. And so I get in my tent, and yeah, several minutes later, I noticed, and I could hear like there was someone camped next to me, and I could hear their like inflatable bed when they would move around. That would like kind of squeak a little
Mhm.
bit. But I noticed this light starting to shine inside of my tent, and the thing was, it was coming from. It seemed like it was coming from behind my tent, which there should be nobody back there. It's nothing but woods, and then this little trail that takes you down into Bluff Creek. And so I was like, whoa, tripping out on it, and just trying to figure out maybe, all right, someone with a flashlight, a headlamp, or something like that. So I'm paying attention, and I could hear little like twigs snapping and stuff. Like you hear little stuff going on. And so at this point, my phone's almost out of data to record and stuff like that. So I'm like erasing things, and I'm under the blanket, so my phone doesn't shine because I'm not
Mhm.
trying to make it seem like I'm sleeping in there. And this light is just like getting dim and bright and dim and bright. And I'm like, this is weird. And it reminded me, going back to when I was living in Southern Humboldt, there was these orbs that would pop up on our land, these bright balls of light, like people describe. And I did a lot of live streams recording this because it was happening so frequently. And I've heard people talk about that these things could possibly be due to maybe like certain minerals and stuff like that in the earth and things. And but no, I've seen these things like float through the woods and take off into the sky, and vice versa. I've seen these things drop from the sky into our woods and stuff. Like, it was weird. So a lot of live recordings of this stuff, and this is like years back on my channel. If you go way back, maybe like 6-7 years, and a lot of it is just like dark, because it's dark. You're out in the woods, and just these little bright lights, and they would just turn on, turn off, get dim and bright. And it just so reminded me of that. And since then, since those lights on the property, there was other activity actually starting to happen before the lights. I noticed the lights. There was like a tree breaks and stuff like that. I seen several trees actually fall over, which I know naturally things happen, wind and snow, snow load and stuff like that. But it just happened way too many times. And some of those natural things did happen, like the snow load, windy nights and stuff. But there was other times that when it happened, it was just odd. There wasn't wind, there wasn't,
Mhm.
and so there was little things like that were happening on the property before I noticed these lights starting to pop up. And And so, yeah, it became a thing. And I talked to other locals, and they're like, oh, yeah, they've seen the strange lights and stuff like that. And so it definitely was a thing. I don't know if it was something to do with that particular land there. Off to one side was this huge rock that you could see. And we had this really nice deck that you could just hang out, see the stars, see everything. And we had several ridges around us. And there was strange vocals on certain nights that I would question, and there was some free range cows and your typical wildlife that I was used to as well, but some of these vocals sometimes were really odd, and so that's when I really started getting into gadgets, recording, and all that.
Right.
But it reminded me of those lights, so it was the strangest thing. And again, I was like, I could have got up and got out my tent and been like, what the heck, who is this, or what is this? But
did
again,
anybody else say anything about it?
Everyone thought it was kind of weird at the end, like the next day when I showed everyone and talked about it. And there were some other things. I'll take you back a few days before that too, where some odd things had happened that I thought. But yeah, it just I got that sense of like, yeah, don't get out of the tent. You don't want to become a 411 case, missing 411 case. Yeah. And I used to get that feeling too, back on the land when I would stare at these things. It almost felt like I was like, I don't know. I felt like at some points I'm like, okay, maybe I should just go inside the house and stop looking at this or recording it and give it a break. I don't know. I just felt like at some point maybe it could come and take you, or who knows, and I did do a little digging into what some people said about these lights, and some talk
are they always the same color, or they have different?
So usually it'd be like a star color, this white bluish color, but I've had the orange ones pop up. And then they will change multiple colors sometimes. I describe it sometimes like in the Mario Brothers, when you get the flower power, and you start changing all the psychedelic colors like that. It's like almost like that, and
and you have this on video. I've seen some of it and you've done like whole shows discussing breaking it down with these lights. So if y'all I would tell you, if you're interested in this, go to his channel, because he does better than I do. I'm like, I catch something, I don't even look at it myself, but he's gonna break it down for you.
Yeah. And so when that light thing happened, I also got this really bad sewer smell, like a city sewer smell, which I thought was very odd. Like it wasn't, and there's like a little porta potty outhouse at that campground, luckily. And but it wasn't that. I've never even smelled it, the outhouse or anything like that, unless you're in that thing. But yeah, outside of it, I've never smelled it throughout the camp, and I wasn't near it, and it was strong. It just kept getting stronger and stronger. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm experiencing the smell too. Like whatever this is, it's smelling bad, and it was just the oddest thing. And yeah, I was able to get several video clips, and that's in my latest episode. I can title it episode 1, High Strangeness at Bluff Creek. Yeah.
High strangeness at Bluff Creek. Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably the one I watched. It's recently uploaded, right?
Yeah. And I tried, doing the documentary style, and
it was great.
Longer format. And unfortunately, for some reason, I don't know, my upload came up at like 360 or something, really low resolution. And I was like, bummer. Like
it looked good on my phone. Maybe on the TV it might look a little worse, but
I thought it compressed it for your phone. But that's interesting how it affected the video quality.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, maybe because I threw in clips like game cam clips, night vision clips, thermal clips, and then some clips using a Canon 2000D that I just happened to, I needed extra cameras. I was really like worried that I wasn't going to get enough footage out there. And my thing out there is to just record, just in case something ever like happens to pop out, and lightning strikes twice at Bluff Creek or something.
Glenn's like us. He'll be going along, and back in history, this is Laird Meadow, and blah blah blah. Oh, look at that mushroom.
I'm
I love it.
I'm big into mushrooms. Actually, last October I found a bunch of chanterelles in the
nice.
area. Yeah.
That the one y'all were asking about, the big yellow on the tree, was that not like chicken of the woods or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I told Misty there, she's all into that, and
And
she'll try to tell us. And I said I only stick with chicken of the coop, so
yeah,
I'm not eating a mushroom.
Yeah, and I'm familiar with the chicken of the woods. There's hen of the woods too. And that one I wasn't sure, but someone told me later that I think it was edible too. So yeah, I kind of, but it's better
Missed out
to
on
be
that one.
safe. Yeah, better to
But
be safe, right?
Yeah, with that, you definitely got to know what you're picking. You don't want to mess with
Espe-
something the wrong thing.
and especially like when you're out by yourself, like or not even by yourself. You could have 10 people with you, but you're so far back in the woods, help's not going to get there too fast. So
Yeah.
I like the walk-alongs, I kinda call it, where you can see the terrain. Man, you've caught some beautiful shots.
Yeah, cool.
You have, I mean, there were some of them I would stop, I'm like, "Oh my god, that looks like heaven right there."
Yeah, and
Maybe
they call it God's country up there.
it's
Yeah. And it is beautiful. And like I said, I fell in love with Northern California. And then the more you go north, we ended up moving out of Humboldt County. I lived there over 10 years. So all this stuff, a lot of the stuff I've been talking to you about was over like the whole time I was up there. So I was up there over 10 years. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, we had moved out of Humboldt and actually moved to Southern Oregon, several hours north. So we're in the Southern Oregon area also, and actually not far from the Bigfoot trap. You ever heard of the Bigfoot trap in Southern Oregon?
mm-mm.
Yeah. So I guess
I've heard of it. Yeah, I've just seen the pictures online. I'm like, I kind of want to go find it, but it looks like it's way out there. So.
Yeah, well, I could show you where it's at. It's not far from our place up there, and yeah, there has been, I have found tracks in that area that were very interesting, like deep in the mud. I use it a lot in my intros and stuff, but and I tried casting them and all that. So I think there's definitely some stuff going on around there. There's Applegate Lake is where the trap is at, and I guess some I don't know if they were biologists or something like that, like something to do with the wildlife. This group in the 70s that put the trap there, they built it, and it was because I guess there was some historical stuff going on there way back in time where some miners had found tracks and were having activity as well. So I guess the plan was to try and trap one. And I don't think the trap would maybe a bear, but yeah, I don't think it would trap a Bigfoot.
There was
just
one
from the pictures I've seen of it, it doesn't look like it would be big enough.
Uh-huh.
There was one video, you were by yourself, you were in a meadow and had I couldn't tell if it was an old road, gravel in the middle, and you're kind of panning around, and you looked down one time, and I swear I saw a deep track in the gravel.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, Glenn, go back. I'm talking to the TV, but no, I don't know whether that was it would look too deep, but
yeah, who knows?
But I understand that when you're looking through a lens, sometimes it doesn't pick up like if you're looking with your eyes. So, do you know what video I'm talking about?
No,
I'll
but
find it.
Yeah, show me.
And I'll give you a timestamp on that. But it looked like a big perfect track. So anyway.
Yeah, and what I'm learning also is that it's not always gonna be the perfect track. So like, yeah, I'm learning to find these and there was a lot of impressions up at Bluff Creek, and it could be bear because there's a whole lot of bears. I've seen like 5 bears up there the 2 weeks that I was there. Got a couple on vid, so I'll be showing that. But yeah, a lot of what looked like impressions, and I got to spend a lot of time with a good buddy now, especially after this trip, Todd Samples from Bigfoot Wilderness Research, and there's the documentary that Alex did on the Go Road up at Bluff Creek. They featured Todd Samples' snow trackway that he found up on the Go Road. So Todd is a guy, for tracks, and he was really schooling me, and we were finding a lot of impressions. And yeah, I'm going to be coming up with 2 more videos from this trip. So I got one up, and hopefully they'll upload in higher quality. And so before that light incident earlier in the week, we were hanging out, campground there, and someone else and I had noticed this across Bluff Creek, these up on the trees there, these weird red lights like flickering. And I thought, all right, I looked around, maybe I was like, maybe and it was around when the sun was going down, and I was thinking maybe someone's backing up and the brake lights are turning on or something like that. And it looked like someone like had put reflectors on the trees there and light was hitting it. It was weird. And then so I didn't say anything. And someone else, this lady friend of ours, she's like, did anyone else see that or something like that? I'm like, and she's like, yeah, this weird red light. And I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing that too. And right after that, there was also another strange light that looked like it was coming down. It looked like a car was driving down the creek, which would be impossible. And it was really bright. And that time, Tate, that was soon after those weird red lights. That's when Tate had spotted that light. Tate was just like, oh, that's pretty bright. Like, I forgot what he said, but I was like, oh, that looks a little odd. But Tate thinks that maybe it was like moonlight, but I don't think so. And it was after that, like several days after that, that tent situation with the lights happened. And then going through some of my game cam, because I was sticking my game cam on my bumper, there's some weird lights that popped up on some of the clips there too. And I threw that in that first episode. So yeah, so I don't know, these strange lights at Bluff Creek, what's going on?
And we've experienced that in several different places. I can't tell you what they are, but the thing is, every time that I've experienced it, I've had witnesses, and you'll get like, man, what do you think that was? And they're like, I don't know. You can't, you can explain it, but you can't explain it. Like you said, it's running down the creek, like a car running down the creek, driving down the creek, and that's impossible. So what does that leave? And it kind of, and now you're here, you're looking for Bigfoot sign, you're looking for physical stuff. Now you got in the back of your mind, you're like, why are we dealing with this? What is it? Yep. Is it supernatural? Is it
related?
Is it related? Because and that's, I'm glad you said that, because I heard you talk about this. We had a guest on last week, and they had talked about the hum in the woods sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And I heard you jokingly y'all call it the Humboldt hum. Can you explain some of that and what goes along with that?
Yeah, and I seen you had thrown that in the title. Yeah, we got to talk. It was cool. Yeah, it was weird. So again, when the strange stuff happens, a lot of the guys up there, like the Bluff Creek Project, a lot of them are just Bigfoot solid. They don't get into like the paranormal. Although there's stories of some weird paranormal stuff happening, but they keep it strictly Bigfoot, for the most part. And yeah, so Tate again, what happened here? He noticed it. So on a particular night, Tate and I decided to go camp, just him and I, over at what we call the berm, and that's on the trail down to the Patterson site. And so there's another site above that we call the cell site, because you actually get a little bit of cell service there. There were some people up there, but Tate and I decided to do the berm, and we noticed right away that Tate's like, oh, I hear this weird humming sound, and I was listening. I was like, yep, I picked it up, and I had heard that several years back, and in southern Humboldt, and there was even the local like news and stuff like that had reported, news sources from the area had reported it throughout the years. So every so often people report this weird humming sound. And I've heard people report it, I guess, in the Bay Area and here in Los Angeles too. So it's not just a thing that is happening up there. But it was weird. We were hearing it right in that area there, the berm area. And it, like I said, it's this tight little trail, and because it's an old logging road. And at the bottom is Bluff Creek, and it's about maybe a mile hike down or so like that. And so you have the creek at the bottom there, and there was no one else around. There's no people around there or anything, or any industrial like machinery or anything like that. And at one point, we also heard on one particular day what sounded like a huge boulder fall, is how we could describe it, and we felt like the ground shake a little bit. and heard some little metallic tapping after that behind us. Tate heard that too. And that was a little odd. And so, but at the same time, we're in, California. There is some big plates that connect up there.
That's
And
what I
so
was about to ask you. Do you think it might have something to
it
do
could,
with that?
who knows,
Shift?
maybe earthquake or something like
But
that.
but the thing is, when that does happen, it disturbs the wildlife, and they kind of act wild too. Or so if you had something in the area, you may have a sighting because it's leaving. Like so, because I've heard people say that with the hum in different parts of the country, usually, what did that one say that they have a lot of times they see like juveniles or whatever, and I don't know what that means, but the thing is, they're associating the hum with Bigfoot sightings also. It's like the hum comes first, and
Wow.
then you see the Bigfoot, right?
Okay.
So I was thinking about that maybe because birds and animals will get away from it if they can.
Yeah.
And it may disturb them, or they know what it is, and they're getting out of that area. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's speculation, throwing it up against the wall. So
Yeah.
y'all don't
Hey,
say.
there are no experts, and we're all trying to figure this out. And I actually haven't thought of that yet, or
Yeah,
I have heard of that. So
never
that's
heard of that.
new to me.
Y'all,
Jot
I
that
had
in my notes.
I was sitting in a seat before daylight one time on our old farm, bow hunting, and I started hearing this hum. This is before I started getting back into the Bigfoot thing. Dark, and I'm worried about coyotes maybe. But I hear this hum, and it's not normal. And I'm looking around. I'm like, is that the power line over there? Or is it something about the electrocute me?
Yeah.
You know what it was? I had went in and put my seat down in the dark, just under a hornet's nest.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll do it.
It started getting daylight, and I'm trying to focus my eyes on oh no, it's time to go. I left the seat and everything. I just left. But so there are natural things like that. But like you said, with the boulder. Now, where did is that the area where Tate got the rock thrown at him in one of his videos, or was that
no, well, so they had the rock slide. I think the whole STM, the Eli and Alex from STM were there. There was several other guys that friends of ours. And they had this rock slide. I think it was the first time the STM crew was there, and a bunch of other, it was star-studded Bluff Creek that night. There was a bunch of other people, but that was a very interesting moment. And the rock slide incident happened there, and that's right,
almost like something was peeking over the edge, looking at them, and caused that.
From the top there. It's interesting, and we gotten up there during the day and stuff, and it's a nice little spot to definitely check things out. And so there's been other people that have been attending when we get together up there, and they've reported, we're not sure, we all question, but they've been reporting activity. And actually a buddy of ours, Damon Irons, has recorded last year. He actually recorded the day that I got there. He got some really like these weird vocals. It was like something like that. Yeah. Right. Along
like
with
straight Sierra sounds kind of vocals.
With some tree knocking in the morning. And that morning I had erased my audio recorder because I felt like I didn't hear anything last night. Big mistake. I would have had probably a recording of that myself, but no, he's been getting recordings from up there, and there's some stuff happening for sure.
And that's going on right now.
Yes, currently. Yeah. So,
that coincides with here also. This is the most active time when we go from 98 degrees and during the day and 98% humidity, and we start getting those cool nights where it drops down in the 50s and the 60s, or whatever, things start ramping up in the southeast also. So that's interesting that it's kind of the same. That's why I like talking to people from the left coast, I guess, over yonder, way over yonder. That's good to note. Have you heard that before? Does it seem like that's when a lot of them go later in the year?
Well, it's if you look at the Patterson, according to like the Patterson story and the footage, that happened, they say, in October. So, just something to take note. I don't know. And I don't know. I feel it. I'm like something about like fall has its energy, and like I don't
Mhm.
know, I guess there's a certain vibe, especially
I
with
Yeah.
Halloween and everything. But yeah, no, there's
Yeah.
something weird about fall, I think, and yeah, I've noticed I like going out, looking for stuff that time of year, and yeah, it could be something with the seasons too. Yeah, I think people discuss the foods and different things like that. I think there's something to it, definitely, with certain foods. And yeah, how much time do we keep going, or are we gonna cut this at an hour?
Oh,
Where
no,
we
we've
go?
got
All right.
We
most
can
of
cut
ours are
it
usually,
now.
what, 2
No,
hours or
no,
so?
good, 'cause I'm
Yeah, we
like,
can.
yeah, no, I definitely wanna be able to share the couple sightings I've had too. But yeah, this time around, I was definitely focusing on, like, some of the food sources, like berries, because I think
Mhm.
there's something weird to, like, people going missing, picking berries and mushrooms. They talk about that a lot in the missing 411 phenomenon.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Uh, and so I'm thinking like, well, what is it? I've heard of, Bigfoot picking certain type of mushrooms up that way when they're out, and those mushrooms are like priced. I forget it has a Japanese name to them, and it's not the matsutake, but it's very phallic shaped, and it's supposedly an aphrodisiac, and it's prized. And I've heard that supposedly the Bigfoots go after those too.
I was thinking if it's birthing season, you need another season for that also, right? Just
and
before, so
And so, yeah, there was quite a variety of berries popping up there right now. And another thing that we've had up that way is fires. Like every year, California is like
Mhm.
it's been on fire, and especially in that area. There's been actually this year there was a couple fires. The year before, every year there's been close fires, and on one particular year, they say the fire got really close to actually the Patterson site, and I think they
Hmm.
helped protect it. And yeah, usually it's the Bluff Creek project guys that go up and do like the maintenance, like we are talking about.
Mhm.
Sometimes, this time around I gave a helping hand and help maintain some of the trails off, taking you down to the site. And but yeah, no, they've really made it possible for you to get to the site. So that's cool. There's little signs that they got up there to help you. And it's still difficult if you don't know how to get there. You can get
Oh,
lost. So
and
be
yeah,
careful.
y'all don't think that it's a big wide road. There was times where y'all were walking through spots where the foliage were coming out touching you. So
Mhm.
there's trails that are, you know, if you're scared of something reaching out and getting you, there's certain places they can do it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah,
That's
it's
for
not
sure.
like you're walking down a road and like there's a big sign and a water fountain and like, hey, this is where
Yeah,
it's not like
no.
that.
And another thing I did wanna bring up, much respect to MK Davis, and I know there's always, yeah, salute. There's been this discussion of where the actual Patterson site is and everything, and he has his place, and the Bluff Creek Project has theirs, which is, I guess, a little further up creek from MK's. And so, yeah, I just, I I believe that we're going to the right site, and even the guys have said, like, yeah, we're more than happy to take MK to our spot and try to figure out, what it is. But yeah, they have mapped out all, there's little flags. They mapped out everything that's in the Patterson footage, pretty much.
Mhm.
A lot of landmark trees and
Still there,
stumps, stuff like
stumps, right?
that. Yep. And you see it when you go there. And but no, it's much respect and
Did it
some
did it
MK for his
surprise you?
work. Huh?
Oh, he's did it oh, MK's awesome. He's gonna
Mhm.
be on, November 6th. We're gonna talk about some giants and weird stuff too, so,
Right on.
um, did it surprise you how and now I get this from video, so I haven't been there. Did it surprise you how small the area was? Like, how close they actually were to Patty when they filmed it?
Yeah, they were pretty close, and it's just amazing how all that worked out. And now again, MK has brought up some other things, that the situation there got really dark, and
Right.
yeah,
Mhm.
which I don't, who knows? I don't know. I wasn't there, but
Right?
yeah, but it's possible. It's very possible, because even there was even in history there was tribes up there that uh had to go through things like that. And but yeah, I don't know until I get further information on that. I really don't know what happened there in the film. It looks like it walked away, but then I did see where he points out it looks like it almost takes a dive at one point or something like that. But
Stumbles
yeah,
a
no,
little bit.
yeah, amazing work there. And yeah, it's weird if that is the case, then it's I've heard of stories like that before. There's several stories where, yeah, they say that they were possibly unalived or hurt in some sort of way.
And usually the motivation is money to protect business,
Yep.
and that makes it
Mhm.
even more believable, right? So,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah, because we've had projects stopped here after millions and millions of dollars spent because of one little thing that supposed to, it's like there's not many of them. Then when they shut it down, like, oh, we found them over here, and we found they're everywhere now, So,
Mhm.
what's the real motivation behind it?
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah, yeah, and
yeah.
so
Like I
even
said, we don't know the truth, but it usually if there's smoke, there's a little bit of fire somewhere, right?
oh yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
and so that whole topic gets really interesting, and I know some people get burned out even when you just bring up the Patterson Gimlin. They're like, oh, they're over that, and it's
Right.
been beat and all this stuff, But there's just little nuggets keep coming out, I think,
Mhm.
and just being up that way and how everything worked out. It wasn't like I was trying to get to the Patterson site and all that just kind of happened to work out, and it's just our area. And I feel like that's a blessing as well. And yeah, I want to continue, doing my thing out that way, and hopefully, whatever finds we get, we will be able to share it with people and learn from one another. I
Mhm.
have had two incidences where I've seen some strange stuff I could talk about.
Yeah, bring it
Uh,
on.
Yeah, please
yeah.
do.
So going back to the property down in southern Humboldt, there's one particular summer I was headed. So the property, it was three tiers. I'm gonna describe it. So at the bottom, we had this a garden area down here. So there was like a road that led you down there, a little turnaround, and a bunch of garden area there. And then at the middle was where the house was, and then there was a road that would take you a little further up, and there was a flat up there where we had an area as well. And then above that there was like some ridges, and then some trails that would take you back behind those ridges and everything. And one particular summer I was headed up to the top part of the property, and so I'm driving, and this is a private property. We have neighbors, but they're all spread apart. They're all pretty far away. And there's a gate there's a code you need to get in through this gate. And so there shouldn't be people on the property. And I'm headed to the top garden. It's daytime. It's hot. I have my windows open. I'm in my truck going about maybe 5 miles an hour. It's pretty slow, and both sides of me there's it's heavily wooded. There's all types of woods, oaks, madrones, and firs. And on the left side of me, on out of the peripheral of my left eye, I noticed a figure. It was like a human figure. It was just completely black, but it wasn't huge, and I could just see this thing running, like it was running along with the truck. And distance wise, I would say maybe 20 yards or something like that. And it's going through the trees, and it's flickering through the trees. I could
Mhm.
see that. And then I turn around and look. And when I looked, I stopped the truck, and at the base of it was a huge old growth oak tree. I see this black head sticking at the bottom of the tree and sticking its head out towards the side. And we're looking at each other. And I'm like, whoa. And it's just all black. So I couldn't make out anything, no hair hanging or anything like that. It's just like a black head shape.
Hmm.
And I could notice like around the eyes here, it just look grayish around here. And it didn't look huge. Like I said, it was small, maybe like a human size. And we have this stare down, and before I know it, I'm off to go do whatever it is I'm gonna do. So I don't even remember where we broke up this staring contest or what happened. Did it take off? I can't tell you. But all I know is that I seen that and I was like, whoa, I was surprised. I wasn't like scared or anything like that, but I was just like excited and surprised. There was no one to tell at the time. So I had to just go and finish my business. Eventually, my queen came home and I told her about it, told our neighbors about it. And our neighbors were good friends of ours. Actually, it was this logger. He was a logger from Vermont, and his partner at the time was my queen's best friend, and she was a Mount Shasta girl, so she was all about the high strangeness. She would see the orbs from her place, so I had someone confirming the stuff that I was seeing, and so I was able to share with them. And the logger from Vermont, of course, he had nothing to do with any cryptids or Bigfoot and stuff. The only thing he did share one time is that he was spooked in the woods, but never told me what it was. But he knew I was big into Bigfoot, and so shared with them they were the first people I shared that with, and it was exciting. It was weird. So I think it was maybe something small.
It goes right along with the stories we hear and things that have happened to some of us. The younger ones are the more curious and more mischievous ones, So that makes sense to me. And then a lot of reports. Well, the one I saw a couple years ago, right at it, is blacker than black. That's the only way I can explain it. It's so black that the gray stood out. Because of the other colors, and you I guess living back there like that, them seeing a vehicle, it's probably pretty rare for them to bump into people too. So they're being curious. I'm not saying that's what it is, but it makes sense that the smaller ones would do that. I feel like a lot of times the things we've heard and seen, the bigger ones are more protective. They want to stay away from humans and all that. And that makes total sense to me. I sound like Bobo. I saw you saw a Squatch.
and speaking of Bobo, I spoke to him not too long ago, but there was one of the cool moments. Actually, we eventually got a place in town also for our son to be able to go to like better schooling. And so we had a place in town, and that was pretty close to Bobo there. And then I remember one morning getting a phone call, and it's Bobo, and he's like, "Hey, you want to go squatching?" Let's go. This is Bobo calling me.
Right.
Oh yeah. I even went in sandals. I didn't even get ready. I just flew out the door. It was a raining day too, and we had the guys from Squatchachusetts. I always have trouble. They grill me for that. Squatchachusetts out. And,
it's a mouthful. Don't worry about it.
I'm not even going to attempt it. So.
So we were able to show them around the redwoods a bit, and I think there was a conference. There might have been maybe the 50th anniversary for the Patterson Gimlin film. There was a conference for that in town, so I think that's what was happening at the time. But it was cool, of things like that happening, and that's what I do it for too, to be able to connect, hook up with people like this and share good moments and hopefully get out in the field. I'd love to check out your area of the country. And
if you ever come in this way, let us know and we'll give you the tour.
Yeah.
I know some places. I know some people like Scott and Sheila from last week. They know the spots for sure.
Right on. Yeah, and I've heard quite a bit, coming out of Georgia. So enough respects to all the peaches out there and all the Bigfoots in Georgia. I've driven through once. Once I drove cross country from Virginia to Northern California, and I believe we went through. I want to say we went through Georgia, and it was beautiful at that time. It was
there's a lot of east-west interstates. We had a store on the interstate, so I would like to take, when I go places, like back roads if possible, good back roads. And I've traveled some of those east west and the from like Birmingham across and then hooking up with this highway, and that's some of your best traveling, unless you've got to be there. If you got to be there a certain time, hit I-40 and let it rock and roll. But I like That's how I found Helen, Georgia, in that area by accident one day, just riding around.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We come up. I'm looking at the buildings. I'm like, I've seen this before. And Heather's like, I think I have too. And we saw Helen. I'm like, oh, Facebook post where they were advertising.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's yeah. If you ever, we can set it up. Some of us we don't live too far from each other, and we can do it like a relay. You can come with us for a while, and then we can hand you off to somebody else or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm definitely open to stuff like that. And then likewise for you to come out this way, Amanda, Roger. You ever want to come and check out Bluff Creek or the Redwoods? Let me know.
It's definitely on my bucket list is to get out that way for sure.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, if I can't do it, I can guide you to the right people.
There you go.
And so there was a second time, and what was interesting is that so it wasn't a road crossing that time, but it was pretty much near a road. And they say road, usually they're seen near roads. So the second time something interesting like that happened was actually further up in the county, up in the northern part of Humboldt, in a particular town called Trinidad. And Trinidad is a small little fishing town on the coast. And I was actually I was staying with a buddy there, and so I was zipping all around Trinidad and that whole area, Eureka, Arcata, and checking stuff out because I was finding I was not only staying there, but I was finding stuff on the beaches. So I was finding stick structures on these beaches, and some of these beaches again have reports. And I was like, all right, well, let's keep checking these beaches out. And yeah, again, it could be, local hippies or, travelers going through, who knows, but it's just kind of odd how they pop up overnight. Mm-hmm. And again, there's been reports of like Bigfoots even swimming in some of the waters there, or coming out of the waters with like kelp strapped over their shoulders, or eating clams and stuff like that. I found couple of clam piles before, like they were huge. And I was like, man, someone was
tearing them up.
Yeah. And I was looking for, where's the beer? Where's the 12 pack?
Where's the fire?
You were talking earlier about the four horsemen with Bigfoot, and you that's one of the things that Peter Burns used to do, was comb beaches.
Oh,
look for evidence out there all the time on the Oregon coast. So following in some big footsteps there.
There we go. And yeah, I found some stuff up in I think it was Gold Beach up in Oregon. I've done some of the beaches up in Oregon also. The coast is good, and what's interesting is actually inland from the coast is where Bluff Creek is. So you're not too far from the coast. Actually, from the hills up there, you could see the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on the right spot, and so the ocean really isn't too far, but it's far. You got to go through a lot of hills to get to it, but it's right there. You could see it, and so I think that plays a big role too. Having that ocean access if need be for food sources, I guess. I feel like they like the beaches too. There's a lot of reports along Highway 101. In that part of the state, and actually I stopped at a report that I had read off the Bigfoot mapping project along the way. I seen a fresh report at a southern Humboldt, so I stopped at the area where I felt the report was coming out of, and did a little video there. And actually that area, I had gotten a lot of reports, firsthand, secondhand, and others that I found online in that particular area. And that particular area happens to have this a really big and nice Bigfoot souvenir store. It's called Legend of Bigfoot, and it's right around this store area. So I don't know, maybe it's the store playing a prank on people, or what it is.
I think I've heard that story.
I
don't know if it was one of your videos or somebody else.
Probably, because I think I'm the one who's been pointing that out. There hasn't been anyone else really like mentioning. It's me, because I used to live in the area and I know the area well. I've been noticing that these reports, and not only online, but I'm hearing it from locals, and then actually my sighting that I talked about right now was up the hill from there. So a few miles up and then up the hill. So
the video you sent, I watched it a few times. Does it disappear? And it's there, and then it.
I have one video out of the redwoods there, which is not far from all these areas we're talking about right now, this southern part of Humboldt, where it's weird because what caught my eye were these, it looked like a totem pole of weird faces, okay, and it's a tree. And I showed it to a good friend of ours from the Bluff Creek Project, who actually was a ex-ranger. He thought it was maybe like a albino redwood or something like that, because he's like, yeah, it does look odd, really odd. And next to that are a few other redwood trees, and in between there, when I scrubbed the video, like that video that I did with that smoky figure, whatever that, there's also this reddish figure that looks almost like the color of the redwoods, and you could clearly see it materializes. It just appears and it disappears. Yeah, Amanda, I have Roger get that to you.
I think I actually did see that one earlier. I was
we can play it. I uploaded it.
Well, I don't know if it's the same one that I'm talking about. You could play with whatever you got there, but this particular one, I did use it also in the intro of episode 1 of the latest video that I put together. It's in the intro there, but I'll reshare that and I'll send it to you, Roger, so you could break that down and see what I'm talking about.
Well, and this one here, I'm not sure. It's 1 minute and 6 seconds, and I don't think we can talk while it's playing. But if y'all look at it, the subject is kind of in the center, up on the bank. It's almost like a head peeking over, and it's like it disappears for I don't know. But y'all, let's let y'all watch and
and I can explain a little more this this clip. So this is another clip, and this was recent. This was last year in an area. This is in the Bluff Creek area and in a special zone. I'll just say that. And it's weird. Yeah, it's a blob squatchy, but you could see it up above like some bushes or something like that. And I scrubbed through it, and it looks like the subject either hides or drops. It's weird. I don't know. It could be the camera, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah, and it could be angles, but it also looks like it had to be very tall if it is something. So let's play it here and just watch it. So I'm gonna stop it just for a second. If the ones that can't see it, there's a dead tree that looks like the bark has come off of it, and to the left of that, 5 yards or so, you'll see a black blob, like you said, but then all of a sudden it's not there. Now I don't know whether
I was noticing that too,
because you maybe you changed angles or whatever, but I think when you change angles like that, something will disappear slowly. This is like it's there and then it's not, like it dropped. So
and I was scrubbing with my thumb, so at one point it kind of drops.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah.
So for the people that didn't see it, let's go one more time. There's a dead tree on the left bank of the road. It's white looking. If you go over about 5 feet, go up, it's high, and you'll see a black spot.
I notice it because it's just above the yellowish weeds or bushes or whatever that is. It's right there in frame as well. Right. It's right above it.
We'll play part of it again and just let y'all. So I know there are people who will be like, I don't see it. Here we go. Yep. So did you see it as you were driving?
No. So that was all after the fact. and that's why I like to keep the cameras rolling in case we capture anything like that. Yeah, I
there's
usually
the photos or
timestamp.
captures from it here. I was able to get those uploaded earlier for us, Roger.
Right
so
on.
maybe
Thank
folks
you.
could see it right there.
Right,
Appreciate that.
Dead center. Like I said, kind of blobby. I don't disagree with people there, but like I said, seeing it in movement, I don't know. It's very interesting. Like I said, it's there 1 second and then it's not.
Yeah, pretty trippy. And this area has a lot of legends, more than just Bigfoot. There's Bluff Creek area. If you talk to, because there's several native tribes in that area. There's the Hoopa, there's the Yurok, and the Karuks, and depending who you're talking to, there's talks of little people there. I've heard some other legends from good brother Inker from Hoopa. He's an elder, and he's been in a lot of different. He's been on Survivor. What was it? Survivor Man Bigfoot with Les Stroud. The Willow Creek episode. That's Inker there. He's been on several. I think Monster Quest, maybe. I don't know if Doug's worked with them, but a lot of people usually go to him when it comes to that area there. And he's talked about like some of the hills that used to be actually dragons and stuff like that. And at the time, I was like, what? And now that I've been getting into some other stuff, and there's like the work of Mud Fossils University. Do you know Roger? What's his last name? I forget. But Roger, he talks about like certain geological structures possibly being creatures and stuff like that, and it makes sense when he breaks it down. I really like his work, and so it made me think of like when Inker was telling me about some of these hills being dragons and stuff like that. I was like, oh, all right, it made a little more sense to me. But yeah, no, you hear
I'm the same way. If you'd have told me something in 2015 that we hear, not only do we hear it, but we go research it. And you find out that it's not just somebody making something up. There's historical records, and sometimes they're hid or swept under the rug or whatever. But we don't know what we don't know at this point, because everything's been a lot. Not everything. A lot of things have been hidden from us. And so we had a question earlier. I don't know. There's one time where I saw something, and I cannot tell you what it was. It was small. And it looked like it had arms drooped down. It was black. I was hunting one morning, and it was starting to get daylight. And it was about the size of a turkey, but the turkeys wouldn't have flown down yet. And this thing, legs looked different. So I didn't tell anybody right away. Now we have people talking about the little people. I don't even know if we're supposed to even say their name. But Larry here asked earlier, I was talking to Yahola Tiger out of, I think, Oklahoma, and I was talking about missing time one night while we were frog gigging. And we were it was about midnight or so, and we were down there what seemed like an hour. And on the way back up the hill, which wasn't far, the sun was coming up. And I saw a silhouette of a deer, and I thought, oh, that is cool. That'd make a great picture. Then I was like, wait a minute, how long have we been here? There was like 4 hours missing. And so it was in the same area kind of. Have you heard or had any experience or ran into anybody that has talked about the little people in the area?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, and I've been hearing lately actually a lot more people from the Hoopa area there being on podcasts, and then they will mention the little people. There's also this particular mountain range that I've been told about a little further south, right there, southern Humboldt. It's northern Mendocino, so a little under southern Humboldt, called the Yoli Bolies, and I've heard of little people being up there. But I seen the question there. I have had possibly a little people experience. So trip out on this one. I had went to visit family, and I probably shouldn't say this too loud, but this is in Venezuela. And and I have a cousin out there. I have really long dreadlocks. My dreadlocks I could mop the floor if I
You,
needed to.
you step on them. That's why you got them tied
Yep.
up.
Yep. I'm like cousin it. That's why I go by brown dwarf or Bigfoot dwarf, because I look like cousin it with
That's what
dreadlocks.
it was. That your
That
original
makes
name.
sense.
Your original name was Brown Dwarf. I remember that.
Yeah. And so I changed it to Bigfoot dwarf just to make
Mhm.
it easier to find and stuff.
Right.
And so I went to visit, and this is outside of the city of Caracas, and there's a huge mountain called the Mount Avila. And actually, trip out on this. So up on Mount Avila, there's a Hotel Humboldt.
No.
Oh,
way.
wow.
Okay. I was like, what the heck? And so Humboldt was an explorer, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's why I guess his name is all over the place. But so I have a thing with Humboldt here in California. And here I am up on this mountain. So we decided the queen and my cousin and his queen decided to do some camping up the mountain there. And he's the same like me, dreadlocks. He's like the Tarzan of our family. He would actually spends more time up in the mountains than he does in the city. And he used to have like a little pet monkey and stuff. He used to come down the mountain with and everything. Yeah, he's out there. And he's like the shaman of the family. And so anyway, we decided to go camping up there. And I'm talking to him, about Bigfoot and all these different things. And he mentions the little people. And in Spanish, we call them duendes.
I was about to ask if they were if duende and this thing was the same, one and the same.
Yeah, so the duendes came up and he's like, yeah, there's duendes up on this mountain. He's like, later tonight, you'll hear them walk by. He's like, yeah. So we set up our tents and everything, have a little quick bite to eat. And we end up going to bed. And before we went to bed, he did mention about a pack of little small wild dogs that roam around that area also. He's like, you'll hear them also. And usually the queen is pretty calm about stuff. I'm usually the one like, oh, look at that strange light, or look, this is weird. And that night she woke up and she's like, you hear that? And yeah, I could hear, and it sounded like little like steps outside of our tent, a bunch of little steps. You could hear movement out there. And at one point we did hear the dogs. The dogs did go by also, but yeah, no, there was these other footsteps that we were hearing, and it really got her attention. And so I'm like, all right, if you're excited right now, that this means something's going on. and yeah, that was my possible little people experience there.
Well,
That's really cool.
Here's the thing with everybody in chat and people that listen to this. What he's talking about, I understand, because when you're by yourself and you see these weird things or hear these weird things or whatever, you get to question yourself, right? But if you have somebody in your life you know is 100% solid, and they say, hey, do you see that orb? Then you're like, oh, thank God. It's not just me, right?
Yeah, I love confirmation.
Yeah. And when Heather, the first orb she ever saw, it was, I'll never forget it. We're in the dark. What is that light? And I'm like, I'm looking on the ground. Like, is somebody coming up on us? No, up in that tree. And I'm like, wait, what? And it was a 15 or 20 minute experience. And of course, I didn't have a show and I had a phone right there. I could have recorded. We were so mesmerized by this thing that we're changing position to get better looks. But you almost have to go in with a mindset. If something happens, I'm going to have this camera right here. I'm going to turn it on. For me, it doesn't happen because I'm always trying to visually collect data, I guess, for me, so I can explain it later. But at that point, it's just a story. But these camera phones are not going to show anything anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I'll still try. And again, that did happen to me. So the sighting on the land, where the base of the tree and the head, my phone was right next to me on the seat of the truck, and I didn't, and I'm all about recording. This is what we're doing. This is what I'm doing it for. To try and get some data back for us. And luckily, the time that the tent light thing, I was just glad that I was able to hit record and I was able to get some footage out of there. also, we didn't get back to Trinidad really quick. So leaving the small fishing town of Trinidad, it's like evening. It's kind of fall. I'm thinking it had just rained. I could see there's actually a sunset too. And I'm headed southbound on 101. And I get on the ramp and I noticed there was already a few vehicles on the freeway there. So before I was getting on the ramp, these 2-3 cars maybe are going by. But at the same time, I noticed on the opposite side of the highway, there was this tall black figure. And it was like basketball player, like thin, super thin, lanky, and tall. And it was just black. It was just like a silhouette. Wow. And this thing starts walking across the highway, the freeway. And so I'm thinking to myself, all right, this guy's about to walk in front of these cars right now. There's going to be a bunch of honking and maybe cars swerving and who knows, And so I'm anticipating this and none of that happens. And so I'm like, okay, well, this person must have made it across the highway because I don't see them anymore. So I'm figuring where they're going to be on my side of the highway. And when I pass by where I'm expecting to see this subject, this person, there's nothing there. It's just an embankment, like a ravine drop down to what would lead you to the beach. And it's nothing but redwoods there too. And nothing ever happened. Those cars went by. I didn't see anybody else. Seen that figure for about halfway. And it was moving quick too. And that was it.
Well, and your brain and your gut kind of tell you sometimes this is not moving normal. This doesn't look normal, and it's just a fleeting thing. It's like that's when you do the double take, right? And I've had that happen before, but I can't if I can't say 100% that what it was, I'm not gonna just put it out there like that. And that's the thing that confused me about the first sighting was it was thinner, it was muscled up, but it didn't have the barrel belly and area like Patty did. And now, years later, you talk to people and they're like, oh no, they're different shapes. And some I've heard of the tall, slender ones. And then now with us digging into the weird subjects that, we call weird, it might've been something else. You don't know,
Yep.
but you do that double take and you're you're driving, safety's first. And you're thinking ahead, and then all of a sudden nothing's there. That I don't know. It's just,
I've heard of people talk about the shadow beings and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Well, trip out on this. So I check out like BFRO and different websites for reports and stuff like that. So I checked out BFRO, and this was a few years back, and it was a submitted report, but from like 2013. So it was like a report from a few years back, and it was 2 women, and there's this little side street from Highway 101 in Trinidad right there. 2 women have a sighting, a road cross sighting right along Highway 101, right in that area
right in
where
the
I'm
same
telling you
spot.
this happened. Yes.
Wow.
And so I read that and I was just like, oh yeah, I thank you.
That's a confirmation, right?
Mhm.
And there's no telling how many people see something weird and just shut it out. Or I know people in my life that don't have peripheral vision. And I can duck like a bird flying over now. What are you doing? I'm like, you didn't see that bird almost hit the windshield? No.
Yeah.
It came from your side. And I'm like, so everybody's built different. And I think the more we focus on the weird things, I guess, or it's like if I'm driving down the road now, yes, I'm looking for the traffic and all that. If I'm walking the trails, the term that's overused is head on a swivel, but that's the truth. We're looking at every movement and all. And I'm a people watcher, and you can go to Walmart parking lot and people almost get run over, and they could have prevented it by paying attention. Right.
Yeah.
So it's not a superpower, but I think some people don't have that. And for you to pick up on that movement, those other cars probably never even double checked,
Yeah, who
they probably
knows?
never saw it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like I said, it's just I like to think about this stuff in other walks, other things we do. And some people are like, well, how come this person and that person have seen Bigfoot or one or two or three? And then you get to talking to those people and they have amazing peripheral vision, or they've grown up in the woods. They're not just focused on the trail in front of them.
They're
And
more in tune with everything around
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Awareness. Yes, exactly, Kenny.
And Glenn feels like, from listening to him, to me, it feels like he's kind of like me. And I think Amanda's the same way. You also go with those other senses that, something's looking at me or something's not right or whatever also.
Definitely.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, you have to, and I do feel like we're not using all our senses, or maybe, a large portion of us, and we do have extra senses that we're learning about and stuff. And
mhm.
yeah, it's a matter of being able to tap in, and yeah, I'm learning that. And at the same time, I'm not like, a lot of people like to talk about like the scientific side of things. What do you bring into the table scientifically, and stuff like that? And I don't think, at this point, I don't have any specific projects or anything I'm working on. I just flow with the go, and do what I do. And but yeah, no, I respect science and everything, but I feel like even a lot of stuff that science has said is changing. There's a lot of things that,
Agreed.
yeah, a lot of things happening on that side that is kind of matching to what we've been saying and experiencing, and all that, so
Yep.
it's a trip. And
And
uh-huh.
you're right. You're exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah, we got to keep following our hearts, keep following those tracks, and yeah, we'll see where we get to. But I feel like, yeah, no, it's another thing. Yeah, and so many different characters and egos and all that. It's another thing I'm learning too, is just how to operate in between all that, and because yeah, and the subject is easy to get yourself worked up or get into some sort of discussion that maybe is not good.
And if I was going to build a team, if somebody said, "Here, Roger, you've got unlimited. Here's a blank check," my team would have a couple of science-minded people if we needed to gather evidence or whatever. But I'd also have different people from different walks of life that pay attention to things that other people don't. Either they're experienced in that region with wildlife. You may have a somebody that's works at a zoo or something that can hear certain things. And I think the team, if you have a group of scientists get together, they're going to do things a certain way. If you have a group of hunters get together, they're going to do a certain way. I've always felt like you need a diverse team
Yeah.
to
Yeah, and I mentioned it earlier, everyone has their little specialty too, that we, and of course we do it all, but you might have a little specialty, like I said, like Cliff Rackman loves feet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or
and he can spot a track where somebody else might not
oh yeah,
spot it because he's trained himself, right?
Yep. And just people like that, learning from him, that's into the feet and what he's looking for, what he's finding, and yeah, I think it's all important. We all have something to bring to the table, and yeah, just enjoying life and Bigfoot and it. Let me know. I'm ready to go.
Well, that's the thing. One of the best quotes, I believe Cliff said it on one of their podcasts. Just when people ask him, what do they need to do to get started? Just go enjoy yourself, enjoy nature. Just pay attention to what's going on around you. You don't have to go rappelling off into, where the guy's got Ape Canyon. You don't have to climb down in there, or whatever. Just like you did, you started paying attention close to home, noticed a few oddities, and it went from there. And some of the best, I mean, like I'm sitting there listening to you talking about Laird Meadow, and I know exactly what it looks like because you've showed me. You didn't know you showed me, but on your video, you put Laird Meadow, and they're out there talking, and it's just I appreciate things like that when you have a discussion. And I would people go watch some of his videos, watch the latest one, and some of these things he's talked about tonight, there it is. And I like, I love people, that don't have the egos. And, if I'm looking at the video, he said right up front, he texted me and said, "Hey, if you don't see anything, don't show it." And I'm like, I have to, because you got to go with, if it stayed there and it didn't move, I would have said, "Glenn, man, I don't know." And I knew his attitude would have been like, "That's fine." That's the people I love. Flat Rock's one of them. We have people that show you evidence, and man, this is just what it is. You make your own decision,
Mm-hmm.
and if I show you something, Glenn, I'm wanting help. If you see something and you think, "Man, I've seen that 23 times and this is XYZ, I know what that is." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." Even if it goes against what I believe it is, so you have to throw the egos out the window, the pride and all that. And, if you want to be the number one Bigfooter, go for it. But I'm not going to listen to you.
Yeah.
If you treat people the wrong way, I am going to cut you off and block you and move on.
Yeah.
Because we don't need that. So anyway.
And I feel, and I know it's easy once again for like for one to be like, "Oh yeah, I wanted to be number one." You want to be the one to make a discovery and bring something to the table big and world changing maybe, and that'd be awesome. But yeah, I just again, just having fun with it and then meeting great people again. And Amanda, there's a bunch of stuff I want to share with you too, so hopefully we could somehow link up and I could share more of these types of strange videos. This was just one little clip, so there's a lot more that I could share with you like that I'd love to share and get your feedback on. And if you have anything on your end that would you'd like to share and have me to take a look at, I'd be more than happy to. I love checking out videos and stuff like that, audio, anything.
So that'd can I cool. give her your phone number?
Of course, yeah, please do.
Okay, that would be awesome. Yeah, we can share back and forth. That'd be great.
Yeah. I'm into the reports also. If anyone's got reports in any of the areas that I've mentioned, please reach out. Yeah,
and same with you. If anybody gets anything that's from our area or the Southeast or whatever happens to come in through you, or heck, anywhere. That's my thing right now, is I'm trying to collect as many reports and stories and stuff like that I can, because the more that you get, the more that the naysayers can be like, "Oh, there's well, how do you explain like this 500 people I got right here that I've talked to that say there's, how do you explain what they saw to somebody?"
Yeah, and keep digging, Amanda. Like I don't know where you're at with your like receiving. I keep asking people. I've gotten some in messages and stuff, but I feel like keep digging, because eventually you'll tap in to a source where it's just blowing in. You're gonna be like Jeremiah over at Bigfoot Society or something.
Yeah,
I know. He's got a good thing going. That's for sure. He's a cool guy.
And y'all, we have to mention Jeremiah. He's one of the good people doing this too. We all know him, and he's just a simple good dude. And I know I haven't met Tate yet, but I started watching him because of the outing that Jeremiah they went on. And then you have people that we share things with each other. I've got people that send me things, and it's not, they're just, what is your assessment of this? And I appreciate that. And I'll tell them the truth. Like, this is what I think. I may be wrong, but and it's I feel like, we're building a network that nobody knows about, basically. You have the TV shows and you have all that, but there are places that all of us can go that these things are, there's too many of them in some of these places, and people are having to deal with them. And I've learned a lot. Sitting in a vehicle with somebody telling me their stories, stuff that they don't tell out in public. And so you might pick up, like you're talking about, you may pick up a piece of that makes something make sense. That's just like me. I was glad to hear that y'all's activity is starting to ramp up at the same time ours is.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool to me. That's why we do
It is
this.
very cool.
Because you can watch all the TV you want to and all the YouTube, but until we have the communication open between all of us, you know, we're not going to know anything. And the thing is, y'all in chat and people that are listening, that'll listen tomorrow and on after that, we're going to share. We're not going to hold it back, right? We're not. Now, if somebody says, don't give my address, that's an obvious, you know, we're not going to do that. But if we get a piece of information that the person says, it's fine to share. I have a guy that contacts me. He's putting some project together, and I share. I'll like, hey, privately, hey, this happened here, 20 miles away from my house in the 70s, whatever. And he'll always ask me, do you care if I share it? I'm like, if I'm telling you, go ahead, you know, and that's cool. He's from a different region. So I appreciate you, Glenn. It's nice to meet you. And
Likewise.
And I know for a fact we can do a part 2 sometime.
Yeah, anytime. Make sure you bring Amanda along.
Yep.
Because I really enjoyed having her here as well. And really, really quick. So look, right now I'm in Southern California, and you know, Bigfoot. There are reports out here, but a lot of them are throwbacks from, you know, maybe the 70s and stuff like that. But you do have a few here and there that are current. And actually, right here in LA, we have the San Gabriel Mountains, the Angeles National Forest. And a few months back, actually, it's going to be a year now almost. We had gone camping up there because there was a camping spot that I was interested in. There was a report from 1995. And I figured, all right, take my nephews up there. They'd never been camping. Go up with my brother, take a day off in the shop. It was my birthday and all that. So we made it up there and spent one night. And I let my nephews use some of my thermals and the night vision and all that. One of my nephews got this interesting footage of what looks like a subject at the base of a tree again. And he's got it on the therm. And it looks like he's either covering himself or ducking and hiding. And again, sent it to several of my friends. Jonathan Easley thought it was maybe someone cowboy camping and getting into its tent or whatever, which that does look like that. But at the same time, there were several other things that were just made it really odd. And it's really good, pretty good thermal footage. And I'll send you that as well. But
you've got a good, you use a rifle scope, right?
I recently got, I upgraded got this, it's the Rattler V2 by AGM, which is a rifle scope, but I use no rifle, just the scope. And yeah, it's been amazing.
The images were nice. They were good.
Yeah, I got a few other smaller units as well. But yeah, so that was very odd. And what's interesting right now is that, so I've been wanting to go back to do like a reenactment of what had happened and just to see what it looks like and the daytime also see what the area looks like. So I'm learning to do that. Follow-ups. I usually do follow-ups on like structures and see them change and stuff like that. But learning to do follow-ups on like that subject that we showed in that video clip. So I went back to that area this year, but wasn't able to do reenactment. I don't think anyone was really up for it. But I would like to do that, and learning to do that. And then so there here locally, there's a few old Bigfoot reports actually from Pasadena, which is like right here. They have some foothills in that area, but it's a pretty big city, and you're in Los Angeles County. But so several reports out of some places there. One of them called Haunted Forest, and this is all near.
It's not ominous at all.
This is all right near NASA JPL. So NASA and JPL have their facility here and these areas, and they're right at the foothills of these mountains. And there's a lot of strange stories, like missing persons mysteries. Steve Stockton just recently covered a case, which is a fresh case of a lady who went missing up here hiking. A well-known hiker, she knew the area very well, went missing. There's no trace of her, so you could check that out on his channel. And actually, that's not far at all. That happened in Mount Waterman, and next to Mount Waterman is Devil's Canyon. And next to Devil's Canyon is this area where we got that thermal footage. And so, just putting that out there, I thought it was a little odd. I don't know what happened. Condolences. I don't know if the lady, she hasn't been found, but they switched her case to the homicide, missing persons bureau or department. So that's a little weird, and still no updates on her. And there's several other missing persons cases in that area, and it's just really odd, weird, a lot of crime and stuff as well. But
Missing 411, the Hunters edition. I don't remember the actual name of it. I think everybody's seen it. Scared me to death because that if I watch Jaws, I can stay out of the water. I've hunted all my life and still like to do it, and just so many people without a trace, or the weird stuff with their shoes and boots and socks off, and
pretty weird.
It's so weird. But anyway, hey, put it in Tate's here, and y'all come back sometime.
Yeah.
We could. I'll get some good stories from the outings.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I know we're about to hit the 2-hour mark here, and before I go, I did want to say that did you all check out the what is it, American Sasquatch? It's a new, I guess, documentary movie that David Paulides is in, and several other researchers.
Yeah, I think they just dropped the trailer for that, didn't they?
Right.
Yeah. Are you in that too?
Yes.
No, no, I wish, but I did see some interesting characters in there, and then some cool ones like MK. I know MK is in
I
that.
saw MK was in the trailer too. I was like, yes.
Barb Shupe also. She's got that Predator video.
Yeah, her that footage she's got is amazing, and not to mention she's an amazing lady as well.
Yes, and I knew a friend that was there during that recording.
Oh, really?
And she unfortunately passed away. I think it was last year, and we were in touch, through text, and she was having a lot of strange stuff happening. She was actually trying to sue the state of California with Todd Standing for not telling people about the Bigfoot being out in the wilds here.
Oh yeah, I remember that now.
I think I remember that she saw it in the tree with her kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she was there during the Barb Shupe video. Yes.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
And look, that's a good point, y'all. We're not going to be here forever, and we have people that are passing away, and we need to carry on the torch, so to speak. And I'm just so glad that the culture now allows us to talk about it amongst ourselves. I mean, it's not big news to most people, but where we can share the evidence, and we have these videos. Hopefully they'll be on long after I'm gone, and you guys can carry the torch, and then there'll be a new group come in, hopefully, and maybe sometime. I don't know what it'll take. I don't know if it'd ever be. It would almost be Bigfoot would have to like walk out in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And then everybody, oh, it's AI. So it's, man, everything's going against us, but being able to share is just amazing to me, because I've lived so long not being able to, and I appreciate what you're doing. I love those type videos. So that walk along type thing, and you explaining some of the the foliage or the trees when you were walking through the redwoods, and there wasn't like these monster ones, they were big ones. When you were showing the base of the trees, I'm like, I'll never get to see that, and I almost felt it. It's like a magical place,
Yeah, no, you could see that, brother. You could see that. Just let me know.
If I ever get a chance to go out that way, I will contact you. So it's just we read about it in history books in the 70s, and like you said, I'm starting to figure out a lot of that stuff they taught us. I don't know, they're just BSing us like to take up 8 hours of our day. Like we tell them anything, they'll believe it.
Yep. Yeah, no, we're figuring some things out.
Yeah.
And again, I'm honored. Thank you again, Roger, Amanda. It's been a pleasure.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, for sure.
Yeah.
Jeff from Doug's show, I can't never say your last name, Jeff, sorry. He just said, well said, Roger, the future of our hobby is safe with people like Glenn, myself, and Ashley. But I wanted to throw that out there to you, Glenn.
Salute, Jeff.
Well, y'all, I knew it was going to be great. And when we do shows like this, I consider you a friend, you know what I mean? Now, and just keep in touch. You've got my number. And it doesn't even have to be about Bigfoot, right? So,
yeah, no. I'll check on you on Tuesday, see what kind of tacos you're having out there.
I had a friend told me I was working for the lottery and I got to travel several different counties all week. And I'm like, I saw this taco truck, food truck, and they're like, look, go over there. And there's some things that's not on the menu. I'm like, uh-oh. And they're like, ask for a tongue taco. I'm like,
oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know about this. I'll try anything once. I went to my work van, and I'm tearing this thing up. I went back. So you have any more of those?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've done that way back. I'm very particular about my meats now, but yeah, no, I have heard, I know about the tongue and it sounds disgusting, but no, you made a good choice there. Yeah.
And I'm all about, we had a store on the interstate and I would briefly get to meet people from all over the world. And I found out one of the best ways to get people to open up is ask them about where they're from, their culture, their food, their music, all of that. And man, most people will open up and there's things in this world I'd love to try if I ever, get a chance. And I had an old Cajun buddy and, they'll eat about anything. You put enough spice on it. And he said, the problem with you guys is y'all eat with your eyes. He said, I eat with my taste buds. He said, y'all, it looks gross. And so he started telling me about some gross stuff that they had. But
and then up here, at least in our neck of the woods, we slather everything with gravy. So
yeah, that's right. What was that one guy said? He said, Roger said, we used everything on the hog back in the day. And he said, we would have ate the squeal if we could have caught it. But
yeah, wow,
I like that.
See, and I respect the pork. I don't do pork anymore. But I totally get it. And but no, this time around, Bluff Creek Rowdy, our buddy Rowdy Kelly, had an amazing elk that they had hunted. And
I saw that.
Spaghetti.
Yeah,
elk spaghetti.
Elk spaghetti, and I was jealous.
Had that.
We used to eat deer spaghetti all the time, so elk spaghetti would be good too.
Right on.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us. Next week, we have D.A. Roberts and Robbie Raines. And we really appreciate you, Glenn, coming on. And like I said, let's just keep doing what we're doing and let's spread the truth and just keep rocking and rolling. I mean, I'm having a blast doing this. And I love a chance to tell my stories, but also when our guests tell stories that make me feel better because I'm like, yeah, see, I'm not crazy. So, but yeah, just y'all be sure and go check his channel out. If you like watching that type of stuff, I don't know who you do. Are you doing your own editing?
Yeah, I'm learning how to do that. And
good job.
You're doing a great job. Yeah.
Stay tuned. We got some more stuff coming.
All right.
Awesome.
Everybody, thanks for joining us. We're going to end it right here. We don't have our outro yet, but also check out Neoma Finn's books. She's a great writer, tells great stories, and go back and watch on the old Squatchin Holler. Watch her interview. She's funny. So y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.